Lena, you're in a different location today.
I am.
Yeah,
My office light burned out in the ceiling, and I'm waiting for the bulb to be replaced.
Can you guys hear me? Great.
It looks like we can use the space bar now on WebEx to temporarily unmute yourself. You hold it down. That's nice. Like an old school walkie-talkie.
So they're learning from Zoom. More background choices now, too.
Per the usual, I think I'm going to wait for the tornado sirens. So, Matt, if you want to give me a thumbs up.
Yep, it just started. The first one, I think the first time I kind of said they're over, then we started and it came back, so there should be two. First one's done. I'm not sure how quickly the second one comes afterwards, but
I'm always happy when they go off on a bright, sunny day. Although, have you guys noticed all the haze from the California smoke? Really amazing that we can't see blue sky right now.
It is.
And really bizarre sunsets that are somewhat beautiful and really sad.
second alarm lasts a little longer. All right, I think it's done.
Okay, we're going to open with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Fiscal officer, you want to call the roll?
All right, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword, Trustee Jesberger.
Here.
Here.
Township Administrator.
Here.
Chief of Fire.
Here.
Chief of Police.
Here.
Superintendent of Public Works.
Here.
And Code Enforcement.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is going to be October 7th at 12 p.m. I'm going to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Also going to make a motion to approve the September 2nd, 2020 meeting minutes.
I'll second. And Deb, did you get the one small correction that I sent you?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't resend. Okay. Ready for the roll call? Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the July fiscal report.
I'll second.
Okay, so July 1st, we had overall fund balance of $6,184,652.52. For revenue in the month of July, we brought in $496,108.41. That did include some COVID funding, so it was a slightly higher than usual revenue for them. Expenditures in July was $514,602.81, leaving us with an overall fund balance of $6,166,158.12. As I emailed out these fiscal reports, this reconciliation is over by a significant amount of money. So hopefully when I either dive deeper or do the August numbers, I can patch that up. It's good to be above than below, but that's out there.
We're ready for the roll.
Okay, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I was on another screen looking at the report. Yes, had to get back there.
3 yeses. Okay.
All right, now I'm going to make a motion to approve the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
I second.
Ready for the roll?
Yes, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
For information, this is a standard thing we do this time of year. So nothing different about that.
I'm going to move to number 8 for consideration of no parking signs in form, it should say in front of 2143 through 2133 Melrose.
So yeah, that's my item. I received a phone call from Sheila Hill, lives at 2143, and she was first. I'm just going to talk about the ask. She was asking for some no parking signs because apparently she lives right across the street from some apartments and is always just sort of inundated because the apartments haven't bothered to make enough parking for their residents. Those of us who've been around a little while longer know that we just completed a drainage project over there in the last couple of years. And she's also very concerned that, they're starting to get rutting and stuff in place of where, water ought to be running to storm drains, et cetera. And so she was wondering if they could get her house and her neighbor at 2133 to be designated as a no parking area so that they can take better care of their lawns and not have so much company all the time out there. I brought it to the agenda because that's been past practice. And when I first joined the board, that board wanted to approve requests like this. I don't know that it's necessary if this board wants to do that request by request or not. I personally feel like it could be a department head decision. I think that the guys know a lot more about that than I do. And I think that for myself, I think Superintendent Flagg with some consultation so that we know that the chiefs often have instincts and information about the roads and their use in the neighborhoods that we don't always have, but I don't know how the board feels, not feeling like this is something that we have to approve sign by sign if department heads are clear that the reason that happened in past practice was that trustees were really committed to keeping a number of signs in the township at the lowest minimum possible we could get along with. And in that spirit, it'd be my recommendation that we just let them run with that ball. If these requests come in, they can be evaluated and, you know, informed decisions can be made. We're certainly not going to do it for everyone if there's a decent reason. So I didn't know how the other trustees felt about that.
I'm okay with it being a department head decision. Another thing I would keep in mind on top of the amount of signs up in the neighborhoods is maybe abutting properties ending up with that parking just kind of across the road or down a few more houses. Just be vigilant of those possibilities as well. That way we can just kill it all with one stone, you know?
I would be in agreement with allowing the department heads to make that decision.
Yeah, it strikes me that you may want to, Corey, I don't know, unless you already know from your past experience, but I don't know if there's some guidance out there for us in terms of some actual ways to make the decision. We're certainly not going to approve this for every person who asks, you know, without passing a township-wide no parking ordinance or something. So eventually we're going to have to say no. And so just a heads up that we may want to go into the process with some pretty firm criteria in mind so that we know when we're going to do this and when we're not. And I'll just send you some contact information for this resident and let you take it from here. Okay.
So this came up as a motion. We had a lot of discussion. We technically didn't get a second.
So it's not a motion. It's not a motion. It's on consideration. It's a discussion.
Okay.
So there hasn't been a
Just
motion.
discussion. Great. Okay.
So I think we're good. That's all I have on that item.
Perfect. We're going to move on to committee team reports. We're going to start with a reminder of the chat with the trustee September 19th, 2020, starting at 10 a.m. at the Case Road Community Garden.
Matt and I will be doing that together this Saturday. We keep checking the weather. Looks like it's supposed to be decent weather, probably a little chilly in the morning. But we would like to remind residents to bring a lawn chair or like a full porch chair because seating will be limited. So we hope to see you there.
Is that 1836?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Case Road Community Garden, 1836.
Chief Fraley, do you want to touch on the produce market moving back to home base?
Sure. So at the last market, we had a little over 100 families come through. We advertised heavily about the move of the market back to the fire station. We handed out some maps for traffic patterns and hopefully, my light just shut off. Hopefully we have enough information out there to bring quite a few here. So our traffic pattern is going to be to come in Elmore off of Cleveland and then up Brandon to the back of the fire station. We also had the REACT team distributing Narcan, and we also had census workers there that were helping some people that haven't completed the census yet to get them signed up, which I thought was pretty amazing. After the produce market, we had 30 boxes of food delivered to township residents through the CSFP program. And just a reminder I have for those that can't make it to our market that we do have the ability to have them get produce through a proxy program. So we can have someone else pick that food up for them. That's all I have.
I had a question about the change in location, Chief. I'm wondering if, have we thought about maybe stationing somebody at the old location to direct folks to the new spot?
I have a sign that I'm going to hang on the entryway that we had down there. Hopefully that'll handle it. We're going to be all hands here trying to get that traffic pattern correct the first couple of times, I think. So Chief Jones is helping us out quite a bit. We've purchased some extra cones, and we'll have some staff out there along Cleveland Avenue trying to direct people to Elmore.
I had also grabbed a couple of the copies of the traffic pattern map that we were handing out.
Mhm.
Is there any way you could make about 30 or 40 more copies of that for me, just in black and white? I put some at the Walford Market and a few other places around just to kind of help spread the word. I'd like to do that again, probably the Monday before the produce market.
Sure.
And I would just, I guess, recommend that any staff member who normally parks behind Township Hall might want to park either in front or find a space where they won't be blocked in by traffic coming off Brandon.
So like closer to the salt barn type of ice?
Well, Corey, can you get around the salt barn if you drove?
Mhm.
You can? Okay, so yeah, back there or maybe in the front parking lot.
I would probably out front just because I don't know how bad it's going to be even getting out the north entrance out to Cleveland.
Yeah. So just kind of a heads up for those who might be in the office at that time.
Thanks. I had a reminder to give also at this point in the agenda, which is just that I'm not expecting to blow the doors off with this sale this year, but we did restart the Veterans Brick Sale. It is approaching fall, and so as we start thinking about Veterans Day, I doubt that we're going to have an event unless things really loosen up on the social front, but we can sell bricks for folks who are interested or who missed the Veterans Brick Sale last year to honor a veteran in your family. They do not have to be a township resident, and there's information on our website about it. Thanks.
Jane, do you know the deadline for that just off the top of your head?
I don't believe we've set one. We have to have a minimum order of 5 bricks before we can place an order. So I thought we would just, sort of see how this goes. If we get a significant amount of orders, we can go ahead and place an order. It's really up to us in terms of our capacity and how often we want to do this. So I think we can be pretty flexible. If we're going to get them installed by Veterans Day, obviously that's the most productive time of year for the brick company. So I think last year we tried to encourage people to get it to us by the end of October or the beginning of October. But we're not going to, as I said, necessarily have a hard and fast deadline about that this year, because I don't think we'll have a Veterans Day celebration itself. And we have the luxury of putting the bricks in when we can.
Perfect, thank you. I'm going to move on to Township Administrator, Mr. Huffman.
Thank you. As mentioned during the last meeting, we had the agreement for waste garbage pickup. There was a bid that went out. Local Waste, who's the current provider, is the lowest bid at $19.39 a month. The contract is for a 5-year term starting January 1st, 2021, going through December 31st, 2025. The actual $19.39 a month will stay consistent during those 5-year time frame. So I would ask, I guess, to have a motion to pull it back up here. Request a motion to enter an agreement for the collection, transportation, and delivery for disposal or processing of residential solid waste, recyclable materials, and yard waste generated within Clinton Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
So moved.
I'd
So
second.
friendly amendment, do we want to add Mr. Huffman's name on the end of this motion as the executor of the contract? Or have we already done something like that?
I don't believe we've done anything like that. Yep.
Did you get it done?
Yes.
So just maybe right on the end, just add a phrase and to designate Township Administrator Huffman as, to execute the contract.
Yes, please.
So it's just one motion, right? Okay, did we get a second? Was Jane this?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. Trustee Jasperger, Trustee Seer, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
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 Perfect. I'll get the paperwork completed and submitted. We have till the end of the year to do that, but it's just kind of nice to get off the table and one less thing we need to worry about. I do have another item that is not on the agenda. It's following up with the OPWC process. I've sent some emails out in regards to that. The township at this point basically has three options if we want to move forward with trying to repair the south side of Orman Avenue. We can submit an application as it had been submitted in the past. Based off a conversation Trustee Sarah and I had with a individual from the county engineer's office, they're thinking if we submit as we did in the past, we still might not have the required score to actually get that approved during the next funding round. Their recommendation was if we wanted to get enough points to try to get up within the funding range, we'd almost have to do a 25% loan, 25% grant, 75% loan. That loan amount would be what the township would have to repay. It is at a 0% interest rate, so there's no interest over that time frame. My understanding in the past, township usually just kind of paid it off in one lump sum. So that 0% interest really didn't come into play. There is a third option now. We did receive an email from the Ohio Public Works Commission, which is the OPWC. They had actually some funding returned to them that did not get spent during the last funding round. They're recommending at that point that they could give us a 26% grant, which would be then a 74% loan. It doesn't sound like that's much of a difference, but dollar amount wise, it can save the township $10,413. The money would be available now versus having to have to go through a scoring process to determine whether we get enough points to either do the project or not to do the project. So right now, those are the three options we have. I don't know at this point the trustees would want to make a motion to accept one of those three options, or if you need more time to just think about it and discuss it. And the overall project is about $518,000. And another thing they kind of say, the county engineers usually kind of pads the dollar amount for the project. So the thing is, if it comes in under the $518,000, that just means the township has less to pay, but we still get the full grant amount.
So if we went with the OPWC 26% grant, 74% loan from their leftover returned funding, we could start moving forward soon.
Correct. The money is available now. It has been offered to us. So if we accept it, then I'll just let OPWC know that that's the direction the township wants to go, and we can work with the county engineer to establish a start date.
How do the other two trustees feel about discussion?
Is there a certain date that they would need to know if we're choosing option 3?
Well, option 3 had been provided to us a while back. At that point, we didn't think we would want to go that route because we thought resubmitting the application would be the better route financially. After having a conversation with the county engineer's office, learning that the process to possibly get enough points to get funded the next round, it would actually be a 25%, 75%. So I hate to say it, but I believe they're kind of looking for a relatively quick response from the township because they offered it, we kind of declined it. I asked if that offer was still available and they said it was. So unfortunately, I don't think have the luxury of a lot of time to thinking about this particular situation.
I would be okay with moving forward if this is available. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't.
So I've had the luxury of attending a couple of these meetings and sitting with this for a couple of days. And so there's just a few things I want to kind of throw out in terms of the conversation. One being, I'm sorry, Mr. Huffman, you have the numbers in front of you. What in option 3, our portion would end up being 350 something?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That'd be, if you will, the township contribution plus the grant amount. The grant amount had been $249,449.
Yeah, I just didn't want people to get scared away by the $500,000 ticket. Bottom line is for the township, 350 some thousand. I think it's 357, 358, something like that. That's correct?
Yes, for option 3, the township would be 358,587.
Yeah.
Out of the
So-
$518,000 project.
Yeah. Whenever we consider a large expense like this one, it's helpful for me anyway to step back and look at the big picture just a little bit. And it's easy to think of our CETA monies as this sort of never-ending font of revenue, and it's really not true when you consider how much of it is already just right off the top sort of earmarked by other decisions that we've made. So when you think about just in very round numbers now, I don't want anyone to like run off and dash off and public records request and prove that I'm wrong because I'm speaking in rounded off figures that are just easy to have a conversation about. If we think about $2 million in revenue from CETA, about half of that is really spoken for. By the time we parcel out $250,000 for our bond payment every year, by the time we do a similar amount of money for salaries in the administrative area and upfront, along with some of the benefits and health insurance that go along with those, we put almost that amount of money into our HRA for all of our employees out of the general fund. So it's critical, I think, for residents to understand too that's not a department expense. That comes from some of these monies, as well as a lot of stuff that just can nickel and dime you to death, custodial and maintenance, utilities. A lot of stuff comes out of the general fund to the tune of another 150 to 200,000 a year. So when we think about CETA being 2 million, it's a lot more helpful for me to think about it as being 1. Again, in just really round figures. So now we're talking about, that $1 million, is this an expense that is this an investment you want to make? So that was helpful for me this week. And my answer is yes. I mean, I am all about investing in our neighborhoods and in our community. And I think that's where that money is most appropriately spent. We have the JEDZ itself as a separate fund to prop up our business corridors and do that kind of work with those sorts of properties. But I'm always about decisions that involve investment in the residential neighborhoods. So for me, that was the piece that I wanted to share about it. in terms of any conversation about this. I think it's something that we can do. I think the board will be in a position, I mean, let's apply. Who knows? Or, I mean, let's say yes. We have several more months, I think. Maybe Deb can help me out with this, or Matt with time frame, but I think we're going to have several months before we actually decide if we want to actually consider the loan and parse this thing out a little bit, or if we want to do what we've done in the past and just treat it as a lump sum expense for the township. I think we've got some time to consider that as well, if anyone's feeling itchy about the total amount.
And
So,
especially at a 0% interest rate, we're not
right.
being charged anything more for the money used. So
Yeah.
kind of
How
wait,
long-
we can do that.
How long on that 0% interest rate do you have? Is there a limit on financing that 0% on the 74%?
Either the maximum is 30 years or the life of the project. And that money then gets turned back into PWC for future projects as well.
And
I'm sorry, you were a little garbly. Was that 30 years or the life of the project?
Correct.
And something else I've learned while being here, even if we prove this in a really quick amount of time, like I won't see the invoice for this project for a year and a half moving warp speed, probably more on par 2.5 years before the project will be done. So when we were considering this, I sometimes get anxious about first and second half real estate next year. We don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And basically all governments have to make a decision between infrastructure and first responders. There's never an easy answer. And this isn't this or that either. We have been doing both ever since we've had the CETA revenue. So that's always up to the board to help us decide where these revenues are going to go. And it's my opinion that we can support this, but I don't make the decisions, just my 2 cents.
So we don't have a hard deadline. Is this something we could maybe bring a motion on the next agenda forward, or do we need to do it now?
You've got a hard deadline if you want option 3 and you want to go for it this year without application and maybe not getting. Today is, if we wanted to pursue option 3, which is our cheapest opportunity, saving ourselves $10,000 or $11,000 over the application and the application cycle and all of that. If we want to take the opportunity to move now, we would need to do that today. If we want to pass that up and apply for not as good a deal, then we would have a little longer, and still not much, because we're still in that cycle of what, by the end of September, I think, Mr. Huffman,
Yeah.
is that correct?
I'm okay with going for it today. I mean, how do you guys feel?
I would be okay to go forward.
I apologize, this seems kind of last minute, but we just actually been able to get some people online that were able to explain things for us. And the fact that literally I just learned from OPWC yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock that the money was still available to us if that's the direction we wanted to go.
I think we're ready to make a motion.
Get a motion together. All right. Do you want to help me with?
I think whatever was on the agenda, plus maybe an addition of allowing Administrator Huffman to sign necessary paperwork. Is that kind of like what we're doing, Jane? Trustee Sarah?
I think we may have passed a resolution naming you as the applicant and to do this for us last time. So that piece is probably, I think, taken care of in terms of I forget, I don't know what that actual resolution said. I don't have it in front of me, but it's in today's minutes.
It does have section 2 of that to township administrators authorized to enter any negotiations as may be necessary and appropriate towards obtaining the financial assistance.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty much covered there. I would just make a motion that the township accept the offer from the September 2020 offer from OPWC to proceed with the South Ormond project.
Can I give that a so?
Can I have a second?
Okay, trustee Justberger, trustee Stewart, trustee Sword.
Yes.
Okay, just for clarity, trustee Sword, did you say, you said so moved, so you're the mover? And I seconded. Okay, just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. Thank you.
And I'll follow up with OPWC and let them know we want to move forward with this offer and see about getting the ball rolling and trying to get a date and everything for actual construction.
Perfect. Did you get my vote on that, Deb?
I heard 3 yeses, so if anybody
Yeah, okay.
says no, and I think we'll revisit this when we're picking the one of 3 financing options. So we're moving ahead, and then whatever months ahead, Mr. Huffman will bring us those different financial options, and we'll pass a resolution at that time, figure out which one of those 3 roads will go down.
I thought the motion and everything was to go with option 3, which is
Oh, okay,
accepting the 24% grant and
0 loan.
Yep.
Okay, sorry if I didn't hear that correctly.
Yeah, I believe, I don't want to speak for the trustees, but
Okay,
so I believe we're going with option 3.
duly noted.
Perfect. And that's all.
Yeah, and
I
so
have.
that's correct. The motion that, as I worded it, I just said we accept the offer from them to proceed with the second half of the project, and that would be your option 3 on your email. So, okay.
All right. We are going to move on to fire. Chief Fraley?
Yes, we would like to request a purchase order in the amount of $6,440 for repairs to engine 61 payable to CAT for brake repairs to be paid from line item 2111-220-323.
I'll second.
Trustee Justberger, trustee Seer, trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief of Police, Mike Jones? You're muted, buddy.
Okay, my space bar doesn't work. Okay, the only thing I have, I sent across my monthly report. Just to notify everybody, we took 414 calls for service in the month of August, which is a little over 100 more calls than the previous few months. And that also, I'd like to discuss that we're about 60% of the department right now with training and duty to intervene and de-escalation training provided by Gold to Blue University. We just got the invoice I got to Deb for that training. So it was about $1,500 for the training for the entire department. Positive feedback coming in from that training. It's quite good, and the officers are learning some other intervention techniques with that. And then on top of that, previous month we did some bias recognition and intervention training as well. So as far as training for the year due to COVID, we're getting some good online stuff, but we still have firearms training we have to mandate in before the end of the year. I think we're going to try to get that next month. If we can find a range to use. One of the problems is some of our ranges across our local area here are closed because of COVID, because of training issues. So we're trying to work on that, and we'll keep everybody updated.
Chief, I just want to take a minute to thank you so much for all your diligence about training. In these sort of unprecedented times, you've gone sort of above and beyond the call to get some things to happen when we don't have the typical kind of training venues to rely on. So I've just been personally very appreciative of that. And also on a side note, I heard about a range in Canal Winchester recently, armed to defend. I don't know if they're up to snuff with what you would need, because they're sort of a concealed carry training organization, but they do a range out there. I don't know if it's something that you could use or not. Or
Well,
whatever that is.
we can look into that. All right.
We're gonna move on to code compliance. Jonathan O'Connor.
I don't have anything new this week. The ones that I had are being resolved as we speak. So they got removed from the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have any appreciations?
Trustee Sword, I think we went over Public Works.
Sorry, Corey. I scrolled too far on my phone for the agenda. I apologize. Public Works, Superintendent Flegg.
That's no problem. Good afternoon. I'd like to request a motion to hire Devin Albaugh as full-time Public Works maintenance worker at step one rate of $17 an hour, effective October 5th, 2020, pending completion of a background and drug screen. To be paid from line item 2011-330-100, 2021-330-100, 2031-330-100, and 2231-300-100.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else for us, Corey?
I'm sorry, what was that? You broke up.
Just making sure you don't have anything else for us before I move on.
Just an appreciation. Received several compliments from residents on our cleanup of 894 Sells Avenue.
Very good. I'm going to move on to appreciations now. All right, we're going to.
I'll add just a thanks to the Public Works Committee or Department for getting our voter registration sign out in the front. And a reminder to everyone, the deadline to register to vote is October 5th. So in front of the township building, there's a code that if you just point with your phone, people can re-register, but Board of Elections up on Morris Road. I'm personally going to vote by mail. They're going to, I think October 6th, mail me my ballot, and I plan to go drop it off in person. So exciting times for everybody to make sure they can vote.
Absolutely. We're going to move on to other items, and I'm going to make a motion to enter into an executive session under ORC 121.22G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys, I think both the chiefs go and Jonathan.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. See everybody else in Teams.
Hi, Jane.
We're back at 1:36. Deb, can you just mark in the minutes that I exited the executive session at 1:02 p.m. and then re-entered at 1:17 p.m.?
One oh two to 117.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I am going to make a motion to enter into an executive session per ORC 121.22 G2 to consider the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in 505.10 Ohio Revised.
I'll second.
All right, Trustee Jessberger, Trustee Sierra, Trustee Sword.
Yes.
Yes.
See you back in Teams. All right, we're back in session. And I am going to make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
And yay.
Thanks,
See you in
guys.
October. All right.
Enjoy that weather this weekend.
Yes, let's have a little bit of this weather for you Saturday, Jessica.
I hope so.
All right. Bye.
Hey, Rachel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, good job with the flag.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't email you back, and then like right before the meeting started, like 5 minutes before, I was like, oh my gosh, I was gonna do the flag.
I thought it worked out pretty well. It came out a little bit small, which was weird. Is this
Okay.
might just be how WebEx screen shares, but
Okay.
at least it was a flag.
Okay.
I thought it was better than nothing, to tell you the
Okay.
truth. Gone are the days of pretend pledge.
I know. Well, I will definitely get a different picture for next time now that I know how to do it, and it'll be good.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's the picture as much as I forget now what exactly happened, but it was like your whole screen was there smaller. It wasn't necessarily that it was
The
it just seemed
picture.
like it was the file size, but who knows?
Okay.
But anyway, it was nice.
Okay.
It was nice to have it. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Talk to you
All right.
soon.
Okay, bye.